you turtles, I'll kill you.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
Well, it's true, because, I did Fresh Prince for a long time, and whenever I'd go somewhere, somebody had done research and they found out that I was the voice of Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and there were kids in the audience that throw that voice on.
I'll take care of them once and for all.
They just, oh, yeah! Oh, of course, these kids are like 19, 20 now, so. Shredder was basically your straight-ahead villain, but within that, there were levels that were found with the interaction between Krang and myself, and there were levels that I found as an actor to play him, so he wasn't just always, I'll do you turtles, I'll kill you, that kind of thing, so there was a lot of stuff happening. Like most actors, I became acquainted with the Turtles through an audition process. I had just done a series called Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestlers. I just gotten a voice agent, as a matter of fact, because I'd done a live action series for Hanna-Barbera called Going Bananas. And one of the people on that show suggested that I get a voice agent. And I said, sure, can I make money? Fine. I need the job. When you audition for a voice, they show you what the character looks like, and you have to try to put that voice to it, which is a part of the skill. I don't consider myself a voice actor. There are much more talented people than myself. I consider myself very lucky to have fallen into the situation. Part of the sessions for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was just sitting and listening to the repartee between the actors. It was such a joy, and everybody was so smart and witty. And
it seems like all we ever do anymore is rent movies.
Of course, Leonardo. With Shredder trapped in Dimension X, we've got a lot of spare leisure time.
The voices that they would come up with and the things that they would do, I'd sit there half the time going, oh, my turn.
Oh, I feel so hard-boiled in these trench coats.
I can't, I know I'm going to sound like a Pollyanna or whatever, but I can't explain to you what fun it was. It was like the old days. It was like, old radio theater. It was just a joy. We just went to work. We just did your job. And every once in a while you get some news that people really liked it, or someone would call you and, say, wow, my kids really love this show and whatever, and you're just happy. And it was like going to a party every 2 days. You're paying me to do this? I'm getting paid and paid very well to do this? Please, I'll pay them if I can afford it. But, I was just looking for a voice, and I found one. And then, and as I read the script, I could make different choices. And then I had someone named Pat Fraley who played Krang, who was the other villain, and we had each other to play off of. And
Shredder, who is this woman? My mother.
And we found different levels through that. No character, irregardless of how he's written, is one note. No character has one level of whatever. There are all kinds of things. There are all kinds of there's not just anger. There's all kinds of anger, that's motivated from all kinds of different things. It's not just joy. There are all kinds of joy. It's just, and it depends on relationships. And the relationship that I had with Krang, like he said, it was like we treated it like an old married couple, because we're in this together. If there is any immortality in this world, it's to know that what we've done is, in a sense, immortal, and that as long as there's a recording somewhere, it'll be here. Someone will be listening to it, so that it's timeless. And that's kind of an amazing thing to think about. But what you do will be around, so you got to be careful what you do.
Well, I've retired. I've been living in Palm Springs. Krang and I are divorced now. I haven't seen him in a long time, and I kind of miss him, but not really. He was such a nag. I hope he has a good life, but I doubt it. Yes, I lie in the sun, I count my money, and I play with the lizards in the desert. Thank you.
I came to be acquainted with the Turtles on an audition call from Fred Wolf, who produced it. Somebody had fallen out of doing a couple spots or a couple characters, and I was called in to audition for him. And I got the description that said Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I went, oh, this will never go anywhere with a stupid title. I had 2 minutes to do this character they wanted. One of the characters they wanted was Krang, which was listed as an evil, bodiless blurb of a man, a chortling, villainous character, but funny. So I went, okay, he's crafty. Okay, well, I'll give him a high pitch range. I want him to pitch so he can go really high and be low and kind of crafty. And then it was a pitch characteristic. Well, I'll give him the cockney kind of sound of the back of my throat because he's a little blob. And then I went, oh, the tempo. Well, I'll vary the tempo so he can be slow and even, and he can get very fast if he wants. Then rhythm. Well, I thought about, maybe a kind of undulating rhythm because like Katharine Hepburn, sort of like Katharine Hepburn meeting Ernest Borgnine in an alley for acid indigestion, which led me to the kind of disgusting chortling thing. And so, boom, all right, Pat Friendly, take one. Well, so you didn't find the turtles? This is what I get for surrounding myself with idiots. I remember Slash, and the first thing that came to mind was the picture. Oftentimes you get a picture of the design of the character they had in mind. And this was a fast Xerox. We were working so fast that they really could barely give us a design. And I noticed he had huge teeth. Well, mouthwork, of course, could be dialect, but it can be the way you pronounce an F. Let's say you have an F like this, or this kind of F. You've got lateral lips, or tight lips, or loose lips. Well, you see those teeth, and knowing that you have to realize that this came out, this had to happen with Sash. And he was also mentioned that he was pretty insane.
What? No pizza? You tricked me! Everybody tricked me!
He was right on the edge. And so I started doing like this, and then all of a sudden I was doing Kirk Douglas. So without the teeth, I'm doing Bert. I don't know what I'm going to do. That kind of angst that he was so good at. Well, you take that and you combine it with a cheese, and you get Slash. Yes, it was the first time in my entire career that I actually got my boys asking me questions about what Daddy did when he went to work. My boys were all right there in elementary school. They weren't aware because I was very careful about what they watched on television. In fact, I don't even think we had cable at that time. But they heard from the other kids and they found out about this. And that was a marvelous era for me. Particularly because during auctions for the school and to raise money, they'd auction me off to call a Cub Scout group or a birthday party and talk to each kid as Krang. And the great thing about Krang was he's so nasty, they loved it, and I'd go, what's your name? Oh, it's Bobby. Who cares? And I could get away with that. Get the next kid on. I'm doing Slash now. Get the next kid on. And they just loved it, and I was able to be, auctioned off to call nieces, nephews, call people at birthday parties, and that was a joy. As is often the case with a show that becomes incredibly popular, certainly in our culture, the first seasons we were allowed to ad-lib a great deal, come up with lines, up the lines, and then as it became more popular, they became a little more careful about how much ad-libbing we did, and we'd almost like submit 5 ad-libs and get one through. And beg for that one. Come on, that's so much better. Come on, man. It's just like, I have to say that a great amount of the success of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, certainly in the performance, was that they let us go. They gave us rein. Even in the second, third, fourth seasons, they trusted us enough to give us a lot of rein. It was wild, woolly in that section.